Greetings, folks. Welcome to another episode of Campfire Stories. Gino here, your tour guide into the strange, the unknown, the terrifying. Tonight, I submit another story to the Grimm Society. The Boy Who Wasn't There. Is reality a shared event, or is your reality uniquely yours? As a young boy, I had an imaginary friend named Cody. I was an only child, so my mom thought it was just loneliness and that I'd eventually outgrow Cody. To me, Cody was very real. We'd play together, we'd fight. I really didn't like it when Cody and I fought though. He would do horrible things to get me in trouble. One time, my mom told me I needed to clean my room because it was a disaster. I insisted I had just cleaned it. How could it be a mess already? She walked me into my room and just like she said, it was a mess. My mattress was flipped over, my mirror was broken. I told her that Cody must have done it because he was mad at me. She yelled at me and finally told me Cody supposedly wasn't real, which was not true. I saw him every day. Cody used to tell me things no one could ever know. One day, Cody told me the neighbor boy would drown in the duck pond down the old dirt road. I went down to that pond to warn him, but I was too late. I ran back up the road to tell my mom. She called the ambulance and cops to the scene. Neighbors started coming out, and my mom pulled me aside and asked me how I knew the neighbor boy was even out there. I told her. Cody told me. She looked at me very suspiciously and told the cops that I just happened to go out to play and saw the neighbor boy playing by the pond and fall in. I tried to tell my mom that's not what happened. She just shot me the mom look, which everyone knows means be quiet. As years went by, my mother became less and less tolerant of Cody. One day, my mother brought her boyfriend over for dinner. I was about 12 years old at the time. Dinner was kind of tense because I was definitely not a fan of her boyfriend. I just never really liked him. But that particular night, Cody told me to tell Dave goodbye. He told me Dave's car would skid off the road because of a fallen tree. Before dinner was through, I stood up and looked Dave in the eyes and said, "Goodbye, Dave." My mother looked at me odd and said, "Dave's not leaving yet. Why am I saying goodbye so soon?" I never took my eyes off him. "Goodbye, Dave." And I went up to my room. Hours went by. I could hear Mom and Dave enjoying drinks, watching TV, and eventually their night wound down and Dave left. About 3 a.m, I awoke to my mom's phone ringing. I heard her scream and then start to cry. And moments later, I could hear her coming. She was storming into my room. She threw the lights on. "How did you know?" I started to tell her, "Cody told me," but she stopped me mid-sentence. "If you say Cody one more time," and she told me I was way too old to keep thinking Cody was real. She was so upset she threatened to take me to a shrink if I didn't stop this whole Cody nonsense. Well, this started a big fight between Cody and I. I told him he was going to have to go away forever because everyone thinks I'm crazy for even mentioning it. He got so mad, he turned my room inside out. My mom heard the commotion and stormed back into my room. I heard her yelling on her way up. "I swear, if you had another tantrum and made a mess of your room, I swear you're going to the clinic tonight. I am so done with you." I started yelling back at Cody for the mess he had made. My mom threw open the door and was about to scream at me when she looked into the mirror and saw Cody standing next to me. She froze. We both turned to look at her. She had this look of absolute confusion and horror in her eyes as she slowly started backing away out of my room. Cody began walking towards her with his arms outstretched, almost in the gesture of trying to hug her. She started swinging at him, telling him to get away from her. Unfazed, he just kept walking towards her. She backed up all the way to the edge of the stairs and lost her footing. And she started tumbling down the stairs. All I heard was one last scream, then silence. I ran down the stairs and started calling for my mom. Mom, are you okay? Nothing. That was it. Cody's gone too far. I ran back up the stairs to get rid of him once and for all. Cody, I yelled, you are finished. Suddenly, there was a loud banging on the door. This is the police! Open the door! Oh my God, was Cody trying to frame me? I rushed back up to my room, screaming out for Cody. When I entered my room, he was standing there. He looked at me with this devious look in his eyes, and he hissed, I don't need you anymore! Me and Cody got into a scuffle. During our fight, we tumbled down the stairs. I hit my head, and then darkness. I awoke in a hospital. A nurse came in and told me that my mom didn't make it. She broke her neck when she fell down the steps. She asked me about Cody. She said that while I was unconscious, I kept saying that name. She asked me if Cody was the boy that came to visit me and remarked at how much we looked alike. I never saw Cody again after that, but I've always had this feeling that he's out there somewhere. Hey folks, thanks for listening to the end. If you liked the story, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to join the Grimm Society, hit that subscribe button. If you have any stories to share, you can submit them to thebrothersgrimm@gmail.com.